In Isaiah chapter 6, Isaiah was brought into the throne room of God, and this is what he said. He said, I saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him stood the seraphim. Each had 6 wings. 2 covered his face, and with the other 2 he covered his feet, and with the other 2 he flew. And one called to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the foundation of the thresholds shook at the voice of him who called, and the house was filled with smoke. This is what Isaiah said when he saw all of this. He said, Woe is me, for I am lost. For I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of an unclean people. For my eyes have seen the King and the Lord of hosts. Isaiah, having seen the King and heard his voice, was immediately aware of his inadequacy and his smallness before God. He was under no illusion whatsoever that he deserved to be here, that he deserved his calling as a prophet of God. And then we glance back at Paul, who similarly was flawed by the sight of the Lord at the beginning of his calling. He said in verse 8 here, To me, though I am the very least of all the saints, this grace was given to preach to the Gentiles the unsearchable riches of Christ. Have you ever considered, it's kind of an interesting thing to think about if you've looked at Paul's ministry. There's no natural explanation for Paul's ministry at all. Paul was incredibly strong in his sin. He was a murderer of Christians. That's what he did. And he would go on to become the most notable Christian leader ever after Jesus Christ himself, after the Lord, from wolf to shepherd. And Paul knew there was no natural explanation for this transformation. He didn't just intellectually change his mind. This was a move of grace in his life. He went from ignorant murderer to the one commissioned, and I quote, to preach to the Gentiles the unsearchable riches of Christ. And I suppose this is why he said of himself in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 4 through 5, and my speech and my message were not in plausible words of wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power, so that your faith might not rest in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. When we understand the grace that we've been given, even those who are called to the highest office of the church, when we understand that it's only by grace, then we will know the power of God. And he knew this.